Hi, all. Welcome to another episode of Saturday Architecture. What is an entrepreneur and what are the attributes of an entrepreneur is applicable to an architect? Entrepreneur to me is somebody who kind of creates an environment for people to get value out of the environment. Entrepreneurs create opportunities to unlock value and they enable people to harvest the value. The beneficiaries will be the ones who are generating the value, could be a developer, could be a worker in a factory like that. And the output again goes to somebody else and they enjoy the value. So you get value of by generating some locked potential. Then the output product itself has a value which creates value for the people who are consuming it. And in this whole thing, there is a economic impact, money flowing, could be hard cash, implicit money, whatever. So essentially, it is the tendency to rather than just give a fish, but to enable fishing to happen, right? And if I take that concept further for an architect, to me, an engineer or a developer is given a requirement, they are able to convert it into perfect working code, right? Are they creating something of value? Yes, they do, but they are an identified opportunity they are harvesting. But the key thing about identifying an opportunity itself and creating the opportunity, then comes the problem of or the challenge of harvesting that opportunity. So there are three ways: identifying possible opportunities, create an environment to harvest that opportunity, then make something useful which will be actually used by people and makes a difference. So an entrepreneur is capable of, should be capable of doing all of this. And an architect should be capable of doing all this. An engineer can say, oh, this is the opportunity, then they can make a good product. Now, whether people consume it or not is not exactly the responsibility of an engineer. If it meets the quality standards, great code written, works without bugs, works according to the requirement, the engineer has done their job, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Somebody can be an engineer, but somebody wants to call them an architect. They need to think about, like an entrepreneur, how to find opportunities, create an environment where these opportunities can be harvested and usable by the end user. So the entrepreneur's responsibility becomes much larger. Hence, the architect also needs to think like this. It's not just enough to say, I write as per requirements or customer needs.
So let me sort of expand on that why architects need to think slightly differently about entrepreneurship than, because as we were discussing before we started recording, we there has to be the entrepreneurship is at both at individual level and what I call it as enterprise level or outside your scope, right? Or something which is which goes beyond you, right? And architects definitely need to go there, right? So architects need to think about the wider impact. Whether the individuals may think about, the engineers may think about the impact they are making or the value they are adding. That is their level of entrepreneurship. So the architect needs to think wider in terms of the impact they are trying to make, right? So it is all about making that impact uh, to the product they are creating or the value they are creating through the architecture, right? They need to think about the wider impact it is making, right? And that is where it comes to thinking like a business person, right? That what they are producing, does it have business value, or does it add, is it going to impact the business positively or generate revenue or increase engagement, whatever may be the end goal of that product or that service, right? So that is where the architects need to think wider, right? And not just think about what a specific piece of code is going to do, right? So they need, that is where their impact has to be seen.
Venkat?
if you want to think architect, as an entrepreneur, it's not only creating the we need to think of the particular segment of people, how we can make their people's life even much better. Like something like when you are thinking about your team and engineers team, then instead of not only giving the just bunch of requirements and get it done, then you can make the environment okay. How we can betterment their requirement, then coming up with the betterment of opportunities. Okay, why we can't use this one? Why we need to use this technology instead of not only technologies in the requirement itself? They can have a more a suggestive way of that opportunities we need to make it here. So something like what I can tell one example of our work. So when I was giving the requirement to our team, okay, build this one and with the one MySQL database. Now they are coming up with why we need to use the MySQL, where we can use our no the already used some SQL as a service, because we don't need to we don't need to manage everything from our end. So that kind of, so this is one simple example. So that kind of environment, we need to create it for around the our community itself. So
Very good point. Okay, great. I think so. Basically, what you're trying to say is creating environments, right, where things can thrive is a very important thing for an architect. Very good.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thanks all for joining. That is in a quick snapshot. We will dwell more into it in the coming episodes on the different aspects.